too long. We are the children of Israel. We are Bani Israel.
That's right.
We are the biblical Israelites.
Well, so we can come out of this captivity and start worshipping God as we're intended to.
Nothing has changed.
Bring it out.
So anybody teaching you that? Sorry.
I want to ask about what black people. Where do we stand in all this? Because you know, it seems like there's nowhere for us sometimes. You know what I mean?
You want to come around?
Yeah, thank you. I'm not a racist person. I don't discriminate against anyone. But I always feel like I'm born in this country, but it feels like you don't belong nowhere.
Right. You're going to feel like that.
Yeah, you feel ostracised.
So
I'm going to be in like under the illusion of inclusion, but I know I'm not.
Right.
My mind telling me something, my heart telling me something,
Yeah.
and what's happening is not really happening. You know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you a question then. So you said that you feel like you're not like in the right place here.
Yeah.
You need to find out right.
Yeah.
So you know, because you said what is it for like, or what do we have as black people?
Yeah, what do we really have?
What do you know about black history?
I've been reading a bit more than with a friend.
Right.
You know, before everyone was slaves and we had nothing, we came from nothing. I know a lot about my black history.
Right.
But with my brothers and sisters, I find that no one wants to talk about anything.
Yeah, that's because we've been beaten down so long.
Yeah, I believe that.
That's because we've been beaten down so long. So what they did is, when we went into slavery, we stripped off of our culture, our language, and everything. Right? So we had to learn a new language. We learned their language. When we was in slavery, they took our children away from us. So we couldn't even orally pass down the information to them. Talk to them about our history.
And things like
So,
that.
Right.
They couldn't talk to our children.
Yeah, and then they told us not allowed to read or write because they knew that if we read and wrote, then we'd remember things and we'd keep
and pass on knowledge.
Pass on knowledge, right? So that's what they did to us, right? Well, let me ask you your nationality. So what would you say your nationality is?
I call myself Black British. My parents are, one parent is Jamaican. My mum's Dominican, my dad's Jamaican. Caribbean.
So, Caribbean, right? So, has anyone ever told you that you're an Israelite?
Not really, no.
Not really, no?
My family's then Muslim and Catholic.
Muslim and Catholic?
Yeah.
And that's because that's a curse that is. That's a curse that was put on our people, right? And I'm going to show you that, right? I'm going to show you how we know, right? Because that's our father there, right? He's Jamaican, right? And we know from the curses, right? And from our ancestry that we are the children of Israel, right?
Yeah.
The children of Israel, right?
I believe you. When I'm walking down here, towards, I'm not going nowhere really, I've seen the friends there, but when you were talking, I could hear you. I'm all the way over here, I can hear you, and you sound very confident in what you're saying. You're not afraid.
No, we're not afraid. We're not. Yeah.
And that's what they teach you, to be afraid. They teach you from a young age, from school, coming up, that you're nothing, one. Two, you're afraid. Be afraid of us.
You're right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
And I've noticed it with my own children. I've got 6 children. And we've been, I'm glad we're in the same place now. The woman that looks after me, she's actually an Israelite as well, so I'm really glad. She's a foster carer. But growing up as a black Britain, I feel worse than, I feel worse than Sarah Bartman. You know Sarah Bartman? Yeah. That's how I feel. Even though I can go out and spend money and do what I want, I feel like I'm still entrapped.
Right.
And it's strange. It's a strange feeling.
Right. And until you come back to yourself.
Yeah.
And because you see, the thing is this, right? Is that you can hear. I mean, we can speak words to you.
Yes.
But until you consciously make a decision to return to the writings of our ancestors, and to listen to actually what they are saying, and to start to do the things that they say, you will feel as though that you will always feel as though that you're in you.
I think I'm quite a down to earth person.
Right, but
I don't like pretend and things like that. So when people fake it with me, I try and move away from them. You know what I mean?
But to feel whole, you have to digest what's been written by our ancestors. You have to take it in and understand it and act it and walk in it, you know. Because listen, right, in the calendar that we live out today, right? They have what you call holidays, right?
Yeah.
So they have Christmas, right? They have that every year,
The big fatal,
right? They have that
for the kids.
right? They have that. They have the New Year's Day. They keep that. They keep that every year.
Yeah.
They have Easter. They keep that every year, and it's an ongoing cycle. They have Mother's Day, you know, and Mother's Day sounds nice until you look into the history, right? When you look into the history of things, because a house isn't built, right? The roof of a house isn't built without the body of the building, and the body of the building isn't built without the foundation. So where we are today, when you worship these holidays or keep them, right, you're worshipping the foundation of what it's coming from. You're not worshipping what you're seeing today. Yeah, but you have to know the history of things.
It's like eating something or buying something from the shop, food, and you don't know the ingredients. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you think,
Right.
just because this person said it's nice.
Right,
No,
and that's the point, and
that's not reality.
that's the point. The point is that our this writing is by the Israelites, for the Israelites, to the Israelites. It's our constitution. It's one nation. It's one nation's book. It's got nothing to do with any other nation. You see, all these other nations, they've taken the writings because in the ancient days they knew we were the chosen people. That's why they copy everything we do. They try to speak like us.
Try to distract us.
Right. They try
All
to.
distractions out there for us.
Right. They
So
try.
when you try and, say, well, what you do? It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Right.
All
Right.
that. I see.
Right, but even in our low state, because we're at a very low state at the moment, right? Even in our low state, they still copy everything that we do. You know, they don't tell you the greatness of our people, because even in our low state, we created great inventions which they don't tell us about, like the cellular phone. Like, it was a black man who invented the cellular phone, right? The first cellular phone that came out, it was a Negro, right? The internet, you know that you have cable, cable TV, you know, optics, the fiber optics. It was a Negro woman who invented that. Okay.
Is it true that Scotland's named after a black queen?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the first king of Scotland was James, King James.
Yeah.
You know the Bible. King James.
Yeah.
King James was a black man. He was a Stuart.
So that's why Scottish Queen's named after.
Right, and he married a Negro woman, right? And he is the one that what you call he conquered Britain. He was first. He was about sixth king of Scotland and the first king of England. Right, and then he united England, Scotland, and Wales.
Okay.
Right, that's how you have what you call the Union Jack or the United Kingdom. Yeah, that's how you have the United Kingdom.
I'm so glad my children with that lady. Not that I was really ill at the time, but the woman that's looking after my children, she's right.
Right.
I was really happy for them.
Right,
They're seeing so much happening up.
Right, because
About the history.
because they're coming.
Told that they're this and that. And they were growing up around here. You know what I mean? It was really bad.
Yeah, because they're coming back to themselves. So that's
But
what.
all the racism's coming back again. Well, they never went away, basically. But it's just if you have the front to do it.
Right.
In schools, wherever you go now, it's just so it's too much.
Right. So what these brothers are going to do, they're going to go through the scriptures because so that you understand why and how we know that we are the children of the Creator, right? And why we are in the places that we are in, right? So I'll give it back over to them so they can do that.
Right, so Deuteronomy 28, right, and read verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 28. Verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Right, so the Most High said to the children of Israel, right? He said it to us. If we keep his commandments, his laws and statutes, right, then he will set us on higher with all nations on the earth. That's what he said he would do, right? So that was our job. That was our job, and that was our role, right? To go out and to teach the nations, right, and to teach them the word of the Most High, basically, in terms of like laws and stuff like that, like what should and shouldn't be, and stuff like that. But in order for us to teach people, you have to know it first, don't you?
Correct.
You know, like, so teachers get teachers training,
Yeah.
right? So for us at this point, this was our teachers training, right? So Moses gave us the law, right, and was telling us and teaching us how to conduct ourselves on the earth, right? And what people misunderstand about this book, right, is that this book isn't a religion. It was never religion. It's never been a religious book. It's always been a book of culture.
Okay.
Right? A book of culture, a book of constitution, right? And this is our book, right? And it's our history.
Yeah.
It's a historical book.
Yeah, it's
Right.
in there.
It fits in line with secular history, right? That's how we know, right, that this book is real, right? That's how we know that, right? So he said that if we keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, then he'll set us on high above all nations, right? And then he outlines blessings, right? This is in Deuteronomy 20 and 28, right? It goes all the way up to verse 14, right? And then in verse 15, there's a switch, right? So what does it say in verse 15?
Deuteronomy chapter 28, and reading from verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
Right.
to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day,
Right.
that all these curses shall come upon thee
Right.
and overtake thee.
Right? So then he says, well, if you don't do the law, statutes, and commandments, if you don't keep them, if you don't keep these instructions that I've set out for you, right, then he's going to bring curses on us, right? So do what he says, and blessings will happen. Don't do what he says, and curses are going to come on you, right? Simple as that's it. That's the simplest form that you can put that in,
Yeah.
right? So let's go to verse 45, right? Go to verse 45 because I'm going to outline like specific things, right, that are so potent or so like out there, right, that gives you the understanding that it can only be what he's talking about, right? So verse 45.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
Right.
to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
Right, and upon my seed forever, right? So he says it's going to be on us for a sign and for a wonder, right? So these curses that come upon us. So when you read those curses, right, it tells you all the curses, right? And no matter where you find our people, you're always going to find our people under some of those curses, right? Depending on where they are, depending on what curses have overtaken them or come upon them, right? So a lot of us that went into like the Americas and stuff like that, they had a harsh punishment. The ones that went to the Caribbean, they had a harsh punishment. So we were under like harmless slavery, right, in those places, right? So it was on us for a sign and for a wonder why, so that in these last days, we can look at our people, we can look at ourselves, and those curses will only fit one people, right? Only fit one people, right? So read on.
And upon thy seed forever,
Right, and upon thy seed forever,
because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for
Right.
the abundance of all things.
right? So because we didn't serve the Most High and we didn't rejoice, right, at his work on the earth and stuff like that, he says that because we didn't rejoice in him for the abundance of all things, like do what he said, right? Yeah, we didn't trust it and we didn't do what he said, right? For want of everything. So we didn't go to him for everything, basically what he said, right? Instead of going to him for everything, we went to the nations for everything, right? So read on.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
Right? So he says that because we didn't serve him, right, because we didn't rejoice, right, in his word, right, in want of all things, we couldn't go to him for everything. He said that he's going to send us to the nations for everything, right? So in hunger, for food, who do we go to? The other nations. And even if our people have, like, say, recently, it's only been recently that they've got like their own shops and stuff like that, and stuff like that. They still got to go to the wholesalers. The wholesalers ain't us. The wholesalers are the nations, right? So then you got in thirst, for drink, same thing, right? For clothing, right? Even if we've got our own little shop selling clothes as well. Remember where they getting the fabrics from? They're getting them from the wholesalers. The wholesalers ain't us, right? It's the nations that are producing those things. So that's where we're still getting it from. So we have to go to them for everything. And it says, and in want of all things, right? In order for us to travel, we need a passport. So we have to get that off them, right? We need a driving license to be able to drive, right? But we have to get that off them, right? And the only reason why they've got like these passport systems and stuff like that, which say we can travel and stuff like that, is because they're gonna do a whole heap of massacring all over the earth. They know they've done that wickedness, so they know that people might come for revenge. So they're trying to monitor who's coming in and out of their country.
Right.
That's what it's for. They know they need a whole heap of madness. They know that. So in order to watch who's coming in and out, in order to spy, right, in order to keep an eye on that, they have to. Yes, it is.
And I never knew anyone so wicked to do what they done to us today.
Right, that's what it is. Right?
But
So
they
that's
don't
the
believe
reason-
that.
Yeah, that's the reason why they want control over everything and stuff like that.
They want to be people.
Right? And this is and what they do is, right, it's something called the Hegelian dialectic. Right? So they'll give you a problem, right? So because they want totalitarian control, you see, so they're trying to bring something called the New World Order, right? And in order for them to get that, they have to get people to willingly give away their freedom, right? To willingly give away their freedom. So what they've done is, right, is they give you a problem, right, and then they wait for the reaction, and then they give you the solution, right? So they create the problem, right? So say about 20 years ago, right, there was this whole thing about like crime on the rise and stuff like that. So they said crime was on the rise, right? There's been a lot of crime, stuff like that. So we need to put CCTV out there. So people were willing or to allow the government to start putting CCTV everywhere, or shops have CCTV in them and stuff like that. So then
schools, libraries, all the places where the young people can go to. Making it hard to get jobs. So they put up loads of drugs and
right. So they've got CCTV everywhere now, right? So they can trace pretty much everybody wherever you go, right? They know where you've been and stuff like that because they've got CCTV everywhere. There's not many like black spots now. There's no like really like that many dark spots now where they can't see you and stuff like that. There's cameras everywhere,
microphones as well,
right? And there's microphones on them as well, right? So and then now, right, with the pandemic, right? So what they did with the pandemic is that they created the problem, right, which is COVID. That was everywhere, right? That's a worldwide thing. So you know this plan is massive. This plan was on a global scale. This one was, right. So they did that, right, and then they gave you a solution. While they're waiting for the reaction. The reaction is everybody's afraid.
Stay inside.
Right. Their solution is stay inside, right, and. So what were they doing while we were staying inside? They were having their little meetings and stuff like that, doing things behind closed doors, right? And then what they was doing is that they were planning to give people the vaccine, right? And what they were doing is seeing who would and who wouldn't submit or bow to their agenda. Right, that's what they wanted to do. It was a test, right? Because what they did is they took away their freedoms, they took away the things that they wanted, right? And people willingly gave away their freedom. People stayed in their houses. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So what they wanted to do is get people to willingly give away their freedom, right? And that's what they do. Right, that'll continue until they really want to push for their new world order, right? And people,
when there was a funeral, people couldn't go to their funeral and things like that. What's that about?
And people will willingly give away their freedom, right? They won't willingly give it away because what will happen is eventually, is because they want to bring about the mark of the beast.
Yes.
Right?
This is what I've come over to you guys.
Right.
I want to know, I don't know, I want to know if you know where black people stand. Are we going to be punished more? Or?
So that's the good thing for us, right? But we have to come out first, right? So just read the end of Deuteronomy 28, right? And we're gonna get to what's gonna happen for us, right? Or where the change is gonna come and how it's gonna be a blessing to us, right? Right? So finish that out, right? So this one's the biggest curse, right? The one that makes it categorically clear that it's us, right? So read that for me.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Ye shall see it again, no more again. And there you will be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Right? So it says that we're going to go into Egypt again, right? On ships, right? When it says Egypt there, right? Egypt is a Greek word, right? Egypt never used to call themselves that. We used to call ourselves Kemet, and we used to call them Mitzrayim, right? But Egypt is a Greek word, right? Meaning bondage or house of bondage. So when it says he's going to send us into Egypt again, with ships, he's saying, not saying Egypt again, he's saying bondage. It's not physically Egypt. He's saying we're going to go into bondage again, right? But this time it says with ships. And you know he's not talking about the literal Egypt because he didn't have to go from Israel into Egypt with ships. It's landlocked, he could just walk across land, right? So he wouldn't need to go on a ship, right? Then it says, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see no more again. So what that means there is that because when we were coming out of Egypt, right, the first Egypt, right, we were coming out, right, and we look back and we got afraid because we see the Egyptians before us, right? So the Most High said to them, look back, right, and have a look, right, because we were afraid, we were at the Red Sea, right, there was no path for us to get through just yet, right, the Red Sea hadn't been parted, right, so we couldn't come across, so we was afraid, so he said, look back, right, have a look, because you see this, you're not going to see it again, right, so what he's saying is, or what he's trying to show you, is that it's not the literal Egypt that he's talking about, right, because he said, we're not going to see it again, right, and then it says, you're going to be taken, right, in captivity on ships, right, and then you're going to be sold for bondmen and bondwomen, meaning we're going to go into slavery, right? That's what happened, yeah? We went into hardcore bondage.
Here's the fulfillment of that prophecy here. It says, I will bring you into Egypt again on ships. The cargo slave ships. Our people, millions of us, millions, and shipped us all over the world. So you didn't just have the European slave trade, you have the Arab slave trade.
Yes.
That precedes.
I know, that's why I stopped being
That precedes right? And the Most High said he would take us into slavery on ships and scatter us all over the world to the four corners of the earth.
Yes.
Right? So like
Right, so we were taken to slavery, right? And it says on ships, man. So that's never happened on like a scale like it did happen, like it happened to us, right?
no nation has been through it. No nation's been through that.
And had no apology, never.
No.
No reparation, nothing.
Yeah.
And then be ridiculed as well.
And all the other
And
things
then we
that
still
you've
got to be polite. And we still got to have the best of mental health.
Right.
We still got to be angry.
Right. And that's the point. The point is that you see, like you start feeling those emotions.
I'm getting older. I'm being reading more and more.
Right.
And for my children as well.
Yeah, and you're supposed to start to feel those emotions. You're supposed to.
Feel those pangs in it.
Yeah, because if you are not angry, right? If you are not upset with what they did, and you're not an Israelite because the thing is this. That happened to your people, right? And as you said,
everyone brags about their history and their past, and they had a family had this. And
right.
What have we got to say?
Right. And then when they talk about our history, they start at slavery.
Yeah. And that's where they start. At school they start.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there was no history before that. Prior to that.
We had beautiful history.
What you mean we are the ones which the foundation of all these societies are built off our knowledge, our wisdom. all of this paradigm that we're living in, they wouldn't be in the rulership in the state that they're in without our writings and without our knowledge. They wouldn't be there.
And there's no what's the word? You know, people that give someone their props.
Yeah.
Give
Or
them their
flowers.
credits.
Yeah.
Nothing like
No,
that.
no,
It's like just
they take
take it and
take
say goodbye.
right,
No, it's
right.
wrong.
It's not just wrong. It's wicked. It's evil. It's evil. And the reason why it's in the earth is because we are not doing our job. Because for the world to be right,
Yeah.
we have to do the job the Creator made us to do.
For everything to come right again.
For everything to come right. That's why we have to return. And that word return translates to repent. So when Messiah came, Messiah says, repent because the kingdom of heaven is at hand. He was telling the Israelites, you need to return because the Most High is going to make a change in the earth and you're going to rule again. But any Israelite that doesn't return to their culture, they're going to be excluded from that. They're going to be excluded from that kingdom.
I've got a friend, his name is Lantai, yeah, he's telling me a bit about this, right? I listened to his double music.
Right.
I was listening to the many
Yeah.
and I started to see this is not for me. This is not for me.
Right.
Black woman, I actually.
No.
And they say, oh, but, you know, Allah says, listen.
Islam was created off of our writings, off of our book, right? And Muhammad, he learned about the Creator from Israelites. This is historical fact, right? And when he taught the Arab nation, right, about who they call him Allah. That's not his name. That word Allah is a Hebrew word. It just means power. That's all it means. But that's not his name. It's an attribute.
And in the book, you still got things like Alif Lam, and they don't even know what it means.
Yeah, but that's their Arabic language. But Arabic is a derivative of Hebrew, right?
Okay.
It's a derivative of Hebrew, right? But the point is, what I'm trying to make you understand is that Islam is a copy or a version of Israelite writings. So the thing is this: if I'm not going to go to a copy of something. If I want the perfection, I'm going to go to the original. You're not going to go to the copy. I'm not going to go, oh, I've got a beautiful painting, Van Gogh painting, and then I say, well, it's worth £100,000, and then the person who's got the original, he's got the original, and I'm saying mine's worth £100,000. Then how much is his worth? How much is his worth? His is the original. Mine is just a copy.
The truth.
Right, and that's the point. The point is that our writings are stemming right back from the beginning of mankind being on earth, and the spirit of the Creator, right? He sifted men to decide who he was going to use in the earth to bring forth his words in the earth. And when he sifted men, so you had Adam fell, right? So then out of the seed of Adam, you had Cain and Abel. Abel was killed by Cain, right? Because the earth, the scripture says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Get me that in Job, right? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, right? So when Adam sinned, sin came into the earth. That's why we die. We're not supposed to die. We're supposed to live forever. We're supposed to live forever.
Time, like, they say 24 hours in a day. Is that true?
No, there's 48 hours in a day. There's there's 24 hours in a day, sorry. 12 hours in a day. 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
It's 12 hours daytime, 12 hours nighttime. Right? That's a day. That's a whole day. 24 hours.
True, definitely.
Yeah.
By the moon and the sun.
By the moon and the sun, right? You've been listening to some Israelites, obviously. Because Israelites, that's how they calculate the time. Right, the correct time, right? Well, as I'm saying, right, when Adam sinned, death came into the earth, right? And then after Cain killed Abel, then Seth came in, and Seth loved the Creator. So the Creator was walking with Seth, and then Seth had sons, and then one of his sons followed the Creator, and so on and so on and so on until you get to you got Enoch, you got Jared, you got Methuselah, you got Noah, right? And then out of Noah came Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And Shem loved the Creator, right? And the Creator started to work with Shem, and then Shem had his sons, and out of the lineage of Shem came Abraham.
Okay.
And Abraham loved the Creator, so the Creator started to work with Abraham, and then Abraham became his friend because Abraham listened to everything he said, everything. The Creator made Abraham wait till he was 99 years old before he gave him his first son. Right? And then when his son was born and he became 12, the Creator says to him to test him, kill him for me. Right, kill him for me. And Abraham says, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was when the Most High made the covenant with Abraham, and he said, now I know that you fear me and you love me. Right? And he says, out of you I'm going to make a mighty nation, right? And out of your seed, right? And your children will be a blessing to all the nations in the earth, right? So, and then out of Abraham came Isaac, and then out of Isaac came Jacob, and Jacob had 12 sons, and those 12 sons had children, and they became the children of Israel, the 12 tribes, right? So that's the point. The point is that although wickedness is in the earth, the Most High allowed wickedness to reign because of Adam's sin. Out of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he made a way to return the earth back to its normal state, to restore it, right? And how he's going to restore it is through the house of Israel.
That's right.
And the only way he can do that is if we return back to him, so he can fulfill his promises. Now, not every Israelite is going to hear it and accept it.
Yeah, because it's going to be hard for them material wealth.
Right,
right. Money,
right.
Wealth, PR, different negative things, but they give you a lot of energy though.
But the point is this, is that everybody who becomes like Abraham, and who denounces everything in this world, every Israelite who denounces everything in this world, they will inherit the kingdom, right? They will inherit the kingdom, right? And they will rule this earth. They will rule this earth, right? But get me scripture in Proverbs.
Job chapter 9 and verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof.
Right.
If not, where and who is he?
And the judges of the earth are the Israelites, and that's why they cover up all the history, right? That's why it says, and cover up the faces of the judges thereof. But the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. That's why the wicked are ruling at this moment in time. But the time's coming where the Creator is going to. He's already started to make a change, right? Because when Messiah came, Messiah was the one who ushered in the new, the kingdom, right? So although the kingdom isn't here, right, at this moment, in the heavens, the Creator is making changes in the earth, but we have to return as Israelites. We have to return back to the law, statutes, and commandments.
Just keeping everyone weak and blind.
Right.
When you hear someone teach something positive, like what they're doing, try to show people something positive.
No, they don't want it. They don't want to hear it.
I'll never do that. It's not that for everything. And
that's what.
It's not what they've done. It's really wrong.
Right. But they're going to pay for it. You take it over. Yeah. What they've done is really wrong, but they're going to pay for it. They're going to pay for what they've done.
No, they went with nothing.
No. You take it over, sir.
And that's why they say don't judge. They taught us don't judge.
Yeah, I know.
But the Bible says judge righteously. We're meant to. That's what we're meant to do. To tell you, no, Christmas is wrong. Stop keeping it.
No.
Easter's wrong. Stop keeping it.
Valentine's
is wrong. Stop keeping it.
Halloween
is wrong. Stop keeping it. But they don't want us to say those things, so that's why they say, oh, don't judge.
And when you do it, if you don't do it, it's like, oh, you're bad. It's for kiddies.
Yeah,
It's even
that's
worse.
the
Why do you say that? Worse.
Get them Isaiah 14, verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. And it reads, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob.
Right. The Most High is going to have mercy on us, on his people, right? Read on.
And will yet choose Israel.
Right? So this hasn't happened. So this is a prophecy, right? So read on.
and set them in their own
Set
land.
them in their own land. There hasn't been a time where the house of Israel, the whole house, has been back in the land, right, where they're supposed to be, right? So read on.
And the strangers shall be joined with
Right,
them,
the strangers shall be joined with them, right? Read on.
and they shall cleave to the house of
Right,
Jacob.
they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Read on.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place.
Right, so we're going to take them and bring them to our place, right? Read on.
And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids.
Right, so we're going to possess them in the land, right, for servants and handmaids. So they're going to be servants, they're going to serve us, right? Right? Yeah,
Right.
this is stuff, right? So read on.
For servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they
Right.
were.
So they're going to be under slavery, right? We're going to take them captives, whose captives they were. We're going to, if you ever had us captives,
Yeah.
we're going to take them captive,
Wow.
right? That's what's going to happen.
That's how God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
I believe you, actually, you're saying.
And that's why they're trying to offset that. They're trying to stop it from happening, but they can't stop it from happening, right? But they're trying to live out their kingdom as long as possible. They're trying to drag it
I
out,
think it's going to be like that
right?
God's in control. And it's always been prophesied. Everything that they're doing is being prophesied anyways.
Yeah, they're trying
not doing anything that's.
They're trying to hold on to it, right?
Yeah.
So let's find out. So skip to verse 21, right? Let's find out what's going to happen, right, to these nations, or what the Most High is saying about these nations, right?
Prepare slaughter for his children.
Prepare what?
Prepare slaughter for his children.
Right?
For
Slaughter, slaughter, that means there's going to be a whole heap of death on earth. There's going to be a whole heap of massacre on earth, right? Why though? Read on.
for his children, for the iniquity of their
For the
fathers.
iniquity of their fathers. And the reason why it says that is because there is these people, right, that live their life, right, after what they did to us, right, live their whole life and nothing happened to them. Right, and lived a fruitful life off of the back of our ancestors of
I know how you
slavery,
eat
right?
after doing it.
Yes.
Did you read about Emmett Till?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know.
The
Yeah.
woman's you see really lavish, you know.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
come to justice or anything?
Yeah.
After 100 years, and we're supposed to be in a civilized nation now.
No, these people are not civilized. They don't know nothing about civilized.
Right.
They don't know nothing about
We've got
being civilized.
deficiency, meddling, and other stuff. Something's not right. And I'm not a racist person, but after taking so much, people start to wonder.
I'm racist. I am racist. God is racist. God is racist. God is racist.
Give us
He doesn't love all nations the same. He does not. It's just like a man or a woman having children. Out of the children that you have, they have a favorite.
Yeah, it's true.
They have a favorite.
You can't go twins out like that.
They have a favorite. Now, will they say to one of their kids, "Oh, this is my favorite"? No, they won't.
No.
They won't say that. But in themselves, they will say, "That's my favorite." In there, yeah, right.
Have to Joseph with brothers, innit?
So
Joseph's a favourite.
out of the nations that the Creator made, he had a favorite, and his favorite was the house of Israel. The Creator isn't racist. I'm a racist. I only care. The word racist just means that you're for your own race. That's all it means.
Okay.
Racist, being racist, right? Isn't
Name for you.
it isn't that you love your own race, and then you go and harm other races. Being racist just means that you care about your own people.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
And nothing wrong with that. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's when you take that racism and make it into something evil,
Yeah.
right? Where you go against
Oppressing people
oppressing
and
other
that, yeah.
nations and oppressing other people, right? But the Most High loves His people. In fact, get me that in Deuteronomy. Oh no, you were reading. What was you reading?
Oh no, we just finished it.
All right, yeah. So get Deuteronomy 7 and 6, right? Get Deuteronomy 7 and 6, because listen to the Creator, man. Because the Creator, his eyes are only on one nation. He don't care about the other nation. In fact, about the nations. What he thinks about the nations.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
For who? For what?
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy
Read up. Who's he talking to first? Read it from verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 1. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee,
Right.
the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
Right.
And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee.
Because we were the last of all nations, we were the smallest of all nations.
Yeah.
When we came out of Egypt, all the nations had millions of people. We were like 2 million, maybe 3 million, but the other nations had like 10 million, 11 million. Right? We were the smallest of all nations.
Yeah.
Right? So read on. But we conquered the Canaanites and all the other kingdoms that was in the land of Canaan. Read
Thou
on.
shalt smite them and utterly destroy them.
Right.
Thou shalt make no covenant with them, or show mercy unto them.
Right?
Neither shalt thou make marriages with them.
Right.
Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son.
Right?
Nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
Right? Because
Fit it in there, innit?
right, because we shouldn't be mixing with them.
No.
Right? Read on.
For they will turn away thy son from following me.
That's right. Read on. And that's why we're keeping Christmas and Easter and all that madness that we're keeping now. Read on.
That pictures of Santa and
All that bullshit, yeah.
Your child, who was their child?
That they may serve other gods.
Right.
So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly.
Right.
But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars,
Right.
and break down their images,
Right.
and cut down their groves,
Right.
and burn their graven images with fire.
Right.
For thou art an holy people.
Because what?
For thou art an holy people.
And that word holy means we are set apart. The word holy just means that we are separated. He separated us from the nations. Right? Read on. Thou art a holy people. You are a separate people. Read on.
Unto the Lord thy God.
Unto the Lord your God. Right?
The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people.
He chose us to be a special people. Read on.
Unto himself, above.
And what?
Above.
No. Same as.
Above all people.
Equal to.
Above all people.
Let's hold hands.
Above all people.
Above all people. Read on.
That are upon the face of the earth.
That are upon the face of the earth. We are above, above, not beneath. We're not the same as. We are above.
That's how we're treated.
And the reason why we're in the low state is because we haven't listened to the Creator. We haven't listened to Him. We haven't walked in His ways. And until we start to walk in His ways, we will stay where we are. As I said, it's only those Israelites who decide that they're going to start to listen to Him and do what He says.
Yeah.
When you listen to Him and do what He says, then He will come and He will gather us. Then, what He won't do is until we make that conscious decision. We have to make that conscious decision, just like Abraham. Well, let's have a listen to what he thinks about the other nations. Read.
This is Isaiah chapter 40 and reading from verse 13. Who hath directed the Spirit of the Lord, or being his counselor have taught him? With whom took he
Get it in
counsel?
Ezra. Get it in Ezra as well.
And who instructed him and taught him in the path of judgment, and taught him knowledge, and showed to him the way of understanding? Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket.
Who?
Behold, the nations are as the drop of a bucket.
And if you have a bucket of water, right, and you're walking with that bucket of water, and a little bit drop out,
Yeah.
right? Read.
And are counted as the small dust of the balance.
Right, so you have that bucket of water, a little bit drops out. You're not going to stop to try and get that little drop that just dropped out. And he's saying that's what the nations are like to him, and are like a small dust of the balance. That means, you know, if you have scales, right, and you put a small dust on it, it's not going to move it.
Okay.
That's how insignificant they are to him, right? That's what he's saying, right? Read.
Behold, he taketh up the oil as a very little thing,
As a very little thing, it means nothing to the Most High. Read on.
and Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor the beast thereof sufficient for a burnt offering.
Right?
All nations before him
All nations before him, read.
are as nothing.
Are as what?
Are as nothing.
As what?
Are as nothing.
No, they are something.
Are as nothing.
No, they're equal to the Israelites.
Are as nothing.
No, they precede the Israelites.
Are as nothing.
All of them are greater than the Israelites.
Are as nothing.
Are as nothing. Read that again. The nations,
All
what?
nations before him
All
are as
nations
nothing,
before him are as nothing. Read.
and they are counted to him
And-
less than nothing,
And they're counted to him less than nothing.
and vanity.
And their life to him is that they have no purpose unless they're serving the Israelites. They have no purpose to be here, right? Read it in Ezra.
This is 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and reading from verse 54.
Right.
And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures,
Right, because all of us come from Adam, right? Read.
of him come we all,
Right.
and the people also whom thou hast chosen.
And the people he chose out of the seed line of Adam, which is the Israelites, right? Read on.
All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord,
Right.
because thou madest the world for our sake.
Made the world for what?
Made us the world for our sake.
You know, he made the world for everybody.
He made us the world for our sake.
He made the world for Israelites' sake, because in the heavenly realm, right, when the spirits are made, they are made for a purpose before they come into the earth. And the Israelites, when he makes the spirits of Israel, the spirits are made to come here and rule and to give or disseminate his words on this planet or in this realm of existence, right? So the earth is made and formed for our sake, right? Read on.
He's made for our sake.
Right.
As for the other people,
As for what?
as for the other people,
The nations, right?
which also come of Adam,
Right.
thou hast said that they are nothing,
What?
but be like unto spittle,
Be like unto what?
but be like unto spittle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the fact. That's the fact. And this is the Creator speaking, right? Be like unto spittle, right? Read on.
And hast likened the abundance of them
Right.
like unto a drop that falleth from a vessel.
Exactly the same thing what Isaiah said, right? Read on.
And now, O Lord, behold these heathen,
These heathen, yeah,
which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us.
right.
But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten,
Right.
and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands.
Yeah.
If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with this world? And how long shall this endure?
And how
Which
long
is
shall
what
it-
you were
So I
asking.
was, yeah, I was about to
literally
say,
what you came at.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was just
Right.
yeah.
If we are the chosen, and
Yeah.
you should be asking, if we are the chosen, how do we achieve or get what promised to us?
Yes.
What do we have to do? And that's why when I said, once you know you're Israelite, once you've got the understanding, then you've got to start walking it. You've got to start living it. Then you should be asking, what do I do? What are the commandments? What do I need to do? How does a woman of the Most High behave? How are we meant to conduct ourselves? What are we allowed to eat? What aren't we allowed to eat? How are we meant to treat our brother? How are we meant to live on the planet? Because you got to remember, we don't know the intricate things of the planet. The Most High made it, so surely we should go to His instructions.
Right.
Because you don't buy a product and then just assume how to work it. The first thing you do when you open it, you go to the instruction manual,
Yeah.
so you know how to use why who made it. And this is our instruction manual how to live on the planet. This teaches us what we can and can't eat. We're not meant to be eating pork. We're not meant to be eating shrimp, lobster, crab. They're all bottom feeders.
But yeah, I heard about that. They're
Yeah, crustaceans.
But-
rubbish at the bottom of this.
Right. That's what they do. They just clean the sea. They just clean the sea.
Yeah, it's true.
And you know, common sense told me that we're not meant to be eating lobster and crab because it's got a massively hard shell. The shell is there to tell you I'm not meant
And
to
the
be
colour
eating.
of it is real danger, isn't it?
Yeah. Why do you need a hammer and garden tools
To block it away.
to eat food?
Like the crab.
Yeah. You got a hammer on the table to eat
Yeah. And they got like pliers. Pliers and shit.
In the shop, innit, when they're eating the food.
Yeah.
Surely that should show you that it's not meant to be broken into. It's there to protect it from
So what do you eat? Do you eat vegetarian or?
So we have a diet according to scripture. Get it in Leviticus. Because we can eat fish. There's certain fish we can eat, but when we eat fish, it must have fins and scales.
That's the only thing you can eat out the sea.
Yeah, and that's the only thing you can eat out of the sea. Fish with fins and scales. So we can eat tuna,
Yeah. Some
Carp.
tuna. There's some
Yeah.
tuna that has scales.
Snapper.
snapper.
Snapper, you can eat.
no?
Yeah, snapper. Yeah. I love my snapper too. Yeah, molly. Yeah. Anything that has fins and scales on, you can eat it.
But we can eat chicken. We eat chicken. We eat beef, lamb. So like, there's loads of things we can eat. The Most High gave us a whole range of things we can eat. But as long as we're keeping the dietary law, so you got that in Leviticus.
Leviticus chapter 11 read it from verse 1. And the Most High spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that ye shall eat.
So he's talking about cows.
Yeah.
So we can eat beef.
Right.
Yeah.
Bulls as well.
Yeah.
They chew.
And they chew the cud and they're clothed for it to read on.
Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew up the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof.
So we can't eat camel.
He is unclean unto you.
They said it up in Iceland.
You what?
It's horse meat
Yeah,
and
yeah.
what is it? I think it's camel and kangaroo. It's all in Iceland.
Yeah,
All the cuts.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
then when
and you know-
Sainsbury's got in trouble because they were selling one.
The horseman, yeah.
Saying it was beef. They weren't even giving us a choice. They were trying to get us used to it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we just say, "I was alright. We trust them." You know what I mean? It's wrong. It's wrong.
Right, and Islam, they eat shrimp,
Yeah, not
crab.
supposed to,
They're not supposed to, and they eat camels.
And their food, they just play the tape on it, man. They don't play on the halal. They don't pick the companies up.
Yeah, but there's no, you see, and in our writings, you don't pray over it. There's just a certain way you kill the animal,
Yeah.
right? And the way you kill the animal is you cut the jugular, and the way you kill it, you have to kill it hanging so that all the blood drains out.
Yeah.
That makes it clean because you're taking out all the blood because you're not supposed to eat the blood.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to eat any blood in the animal. But they don't do all that. You know, they don't do all that. And praying over it, that's not in the writings. It's not in the writings. It's not that that isn't in the ancient writings. That's something they've made up. Sorry.
And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean
So
to
we
you.
can't eat that animal. Read on.
And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof,
We can't eat rabbit.
Rabbit,
he is unclean unto you. And the swine, though he divide the hoof, and be cloven footed, yet he cheweth not the cud,
And you
he is
can't-
unclean to
Can't
you.
eat pig.
No.
Can't eat pork. No pork on my fork.
No.
So
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Of their flesh ye shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch.
So we're not even meant to be touching
Or
the
wearing their
carcass.
pig skin and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah.
And you gotta understand that this society is built up so wickedly that they put pork in every.
Everything.
So
Even polos had pork in it.
Now we
Now they say we made
Now
it
everything's
alive.
now in
It's
bacon.
vegan, it's vegan.
and their new notes. Their new, you know, their new,
Oh, yeah.
their new notes. The way they make it so it doesn't rip. It's made with pork.
That's how my mama always said.
So even down to this society is made to stop us from keeping the law. So we have to be conscious to say, you know what, even though they're making these things up, we've got to try our best to keep the law statute. The most I know.
And that's why we needed Messiah to come.
Yeah.
That's why Messiah had to come. So you know they've turned Messiah into this religion, but he came to give us grace.
Yeah.
Because he knew in the end times, when it's time for us to wake up,
Yeah.
he knew that we wouldn't be able to keep the laws properly. He knew that, so he came and he gave himself as a sacrifice. That's why he came and gave himself.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So that it's just like what my brother's saying here, right? He's saying that they're putting the pork in the notes, but for you to buy, you need to have those notes. You've got to touch them.
You've got to have it to live.
Right, that's the point. That's the point, and that's why Messiah came. That's why he came. He didn't come to save all nations. He came for the house of Israel. That's who he came for. That's who he came for.
What do you call Messiah's name then?
Huh?
Just call Messiah.
Well, some people say Yeshua. Some people say Yeshua. Right? It's definitely not Jesus. Although we will say Jesus to Christians because that's the Yahushua, yeah. But his real name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahushua, right? You can't get, there's no J in the Hebrew, right? There's no J. So and there's no vowel points as such in the Paleo. So his name would be Yahushua, right? And the father's name would be Yahweh, right? So
Is that Y-A-W-A-H?
YH, No, it's YH. WH, that's right.
That's the little
I'm trying to think if I've seen it being anywhere.
Yeah.
So
how-
the way you spell it, some people spell it like that. She
Okay.
spelled it like, you know, when people say Yehuan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how some of them spell it. But they're getting that from the Tetragrammaton anyway. The
Same
Tetragrammaton
thing.
it's just four. It's just four we say vowels here. They'll say letters we have in the alphabet, but it's YHWH.
Right.
That's Yod Hey Wav Hey, and we say Yahwa.
Yeah, my friend was up Yahweh.
Yahwa. That's
I think it's his middle name.
and we know that you got the correct name when you say Yahweh, because in church and in religion all these years, what do they say? They say hallelujah. They say hallelujah.
Yeah, they
don't say hallelujah God. But then if you ask them what God's name is, they'll say God. How does that make sense?
Someone was telling me about what God means when you say G-O-D. It's not very nice, is it?
It's gold, oil, and drugs.
Yeah, they were saying that as well, gold, oil, and drugs. Even Sean Paul says that, isn't it? Gold, oil, and die, man. That's what they
Is there God?
Sean Paul said that in his song.